A 5, a 6, a 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, a ducky joint.
DJ Ducky Joint.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Ducky Joint Podcast. My name is Scott McRae.
Brandon Brown.
Askhats.
And we're just some dudes.
Just
We're some dudes amongst bros who have feelings.
just being guys, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good introduction as any, but on that note, last week we just kind of went over a bunch of big topics, and it was very political and it was a very tense week, and so we felt obligated to touch on those things, and also like they were just things that were like heavy and weighing on us as well. But now that we've kind of gotten that over with, and yeah, that was a really heavy week. It was a heavy episode. But yeah, we're lighter. We are lighter dudes. We're a little more jubilant than just what that first episode would imply. And yeah, let's get some introductions and start with you, Askhats.
All right. I am Askhats, as you know. I was born in October, Kazakhstan. I was adopted. I moved here very young. Don't have too much input from my home country. Hey, man.
Continue.
With my fidget spinner.
Noise.
I grew up in New Mexico with Scott. We went to the same high school.
Woo! Go Devils.
Yeah. I was raised by a single mother. I lived with one sister. A lot of female input in my life. Yeah, I can't think too much else.
Word?
Yeah, I'm sure it will come to me.
Yeah, Brandon?
I was born and raised in California. Was born in Torrance. Grew up in Watts. Didn't have a dad for the most part. Like, he exists, but he wasn't too present in my life, so I was raised in a single mother household. I was an only child for a while up until I was like 10, I want to say, 11. And then my younger brother was born, and now I have two younger brothers, and for my mom and a younger sister for my dad. Same as Askhats, a lot of female input coming up. And I feel like that's definitely shaped like who I've become and my respect for women and things like that. Only biases I can say I probably hold because of the way I've like grown up is growing up in Watts and going to school down there for like my early years. I didn't really grow up around white people, so I didn't really have that perspective until 7th grade when I moved up to Washington, and then that was like my first experience, and I've been getting used to that ever since.
But yeah, I'm Scott, as you know. I was born in Arizona. Don't remember much about Arizona. A few memories, but not much. And then I moved to Albuquerque when I was 4. I spent most of my life, formative years in Albuquerque. I lived in Albuquerque for 14 years, I think. Yeah, just a long ass time to be living in Albuquerque, in particular. But yeah, other than that, I like movies and music and stuff, and that's about, got some parents, they're pretty cool. Sister, she's alright. But yeah, that's about it. That was good. That was a good introduction, boys. Yeah, we don't like talking about ourselves.
At all. And yeah, like Scott was saying earlier, last week was a really heavy week, and that's like partially what we wanted to do with this podcast, but that's not wholly what we wanted to do. Like he said, we're more light than what that probably portrayed. We like to joke around and stuff like that, and we wanted to do a little bit of that mixed in with whatever's on our minds.
Also, you have to forget we live in Portland, Oregon too, so it is kind of a dour and heavy place to live sometimes, with your fuzz and your antifas, and they're warring and they're bickering over.
Yes,
And it's just gray all the time. It's just rainy and gray and sad and,
Look at this beautiful summer weather.
No clouds in the sky. Is it summer or what, baby?
Yeah, no, the place that produced Elliott Smith cannot cannot possibly be a fun place to live. Joyous.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we make the best of it, we laugh and have a good time. Have a good time with us. Okay, well now that we got the set dressing out of the way, what's on the mind, boys? What's on the top of the noggin?
I mean, yeah, we were talking about Kanye a little bit before we.
Oh yeah, I want to sit down and do that. Yeah, let's do that before our break. Yeah.
We were having a little discussion about Kanye West and his trajectory as an artist, and kind of where he's gone. And we kind of felt that he took a major dive with Jesus is King, and that got us to thinking like where we rank Kanye's albums.
Yeah, does anyone who wants to start? Because this is
All right. Well, as the person who probably is the least analytical with music,
I'll pull up the list.
and as a big Kanye fan, I would say that like he has had significantly, great albums.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great albums.
Right.
Starting with the College Dropout. It's an iconic album.
Yeah.
It's
Jesus
there's no
Walks.
other way to.
One of the most iconic rap songs
you,
of
you
2000.
cannot. You cannot measure up to it. And then he follows it with Late Registration, which just kind of like catapults him to the forefront of the music scene, right? And then he switches it up, puts up Graduation
before.
came first. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, so that's like part 3.
That like included that
That
trilogy.
trilogy,
yeah.
definitely.
Beautiful trilogy.
And then he switches it up, goes to 808s and Heartbreaks,
Which was also
is-
the death of his mother too, heavily influenced that record, and that's kind of bleak tone at times. Yeah.
This is also a huge pop era, I think, in
Yeah.
music. We had songs like people like Bruno Mars
Ooh.
being big artists at the time. Fucking Katy Perry, like it was just a big pop scene. Like the most
definitely.
popular music
It was a bubble,
pop
for
music,
sure.
and that's
Right.
like, and like I don't know if pop music stands for popular.
No, it does.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
100%,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. But like even so, like popular music isn't always the most popular music that's being played, but like in this time, definitely it was a huge thing. And so like 808s and Heartbreaks is a nice, it allowed people who like pop music to get into.
Definitely, that did
rap
catapult him to
forever.
another level of like mainstream popularity.
And what you said there kind of made me think like it's crazy that was such a pop era, because now we're in such a rap era where like if you're a rapper you feel comfortable to just continue rapping, you know what I mean? Whereas like
Ooh.
as a rapper, even though Kanye with that trilogy was probably at the top of the rap game at that time, he probably still felt pressure to not just rap because rap was not selling as well as like pop. So then he felt the need to make that switch up into 808s and Heartbreak, along with the fact that his mother had passed, and that was like heavy for him. But
Now pop's doing rap. That's
And
a
now,
great-
I was about to say,
Yeah,
pop artists are
absolutely.
rapping.
Yes.
That
So-
conversion, that is
That's
a really
crazy.
fascinating thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Yes,
sure I
now
heard
pop
Taylor
artists.
Swift rapping at some point, but I might be tripping.
I mean, I'm even thinking about like
maybe some fast.
even the
ones.
more like hip hop influenced like pop songs that like even the artists you just mentioned, like Katy Perry. I'm thinking about like that one. What's that one like? Dun, 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 is it Dark Horse or whatever? You
Yeah,
know the one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kanye,
J.
right? Or
Is it Juicy J's? Yeah, that's a rap song. You know what I mean? Like that is like like yeah. So
Also, I'm pretty sure
that's
that
fascinating.
song was there was a copyright infringement on that song.
Really?
At some point. Yeah. So
That's
they were
fascinating.
claiming that
I
the
love stuff like that.
big beat. Those 3 notes that you
Mhm.
heard were from a different song.
Dun, 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 dun. It sounds familiar. I mean, it sounds like the.
Oh man.
But yeah, after 808s and Heartbreaks, he like that was. I mean, it's like losing your mom is probably like the hardest thing in the entire world. Kidding. Don't even want to go to that territory. But like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was like such a It felt like it took those pop instincts and then like just launched, like catapulted them. Like when I think of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I do not think of it as a rap album really. I think of Watch the Throne as his rap album that he put out, and then like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is the cementing of Kanye as a pop god. Like, because I mean, Power is a pop song. Like, it's a rap song, but it's like very much like conforming to pop instincts and to even like things that are like were very prevalent in pop music at the time. And like it's a genius pop song because it also incorporates so many different things from like past. Like his samples are genius there. But yeah, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is an interesting record to me, just because like especially the feature list almost strikes me more as an inclination that was people were doing in pop music than they were in rap music at the time. And like in terms of like the features, like you had big features in pop music. You know, that was like the big thing. And like I remember you remember like in the days of iTunes when you like you'd go in singles and you'd be like, oh, this is featuring this person, and that's like why you would buy the single.
Features made the song at that time.
That was a huge thing. So I almost feel like he was subverting actually a lot of like pop instincts by like dressing it up as a pop record, even though it is still a rap record, you know. But yeah, Watch the Throne for me was like it's a really solid record. Watch the Throne.
I mean, you have two powerhouses, Kanye West and Jay-Z, spitting honors on every song. So
essentially in like their prime.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
Jay-Z was on his coming down. Yeah, because American Gangster was a few years before, and that wasn't. That's we all know. Our feelings about American Gangster. But anyways, Magna Carta. But Yeezus. No, Yeezus was like a whole that was like a Kanye like that kind of changed and like. I mean, I don't even know what to say about Yeezus in terms of its impact on the music industry. I remember.
Would you say that was him like taking those like pop instincts that you mentioned and like altering them?
I think
like feeling so comfortable with them that he like could just do what he wanted.
Yeah, like the language was so familiar to him and that vocabulary was so strong at that point that he could finally articulate everything that was going on in his mind.
Yes.
Yeah, I buy that a lot, and maybe that's why Yeezus does stand out to me so much, is because it feels like even though the weakest song on that album is Bound 2, but it's very purposefully the weakest song on that album. It is so Kanye blatantly being like, look at this goofy ass rap song amidst this genius labyrinth of madness.
I also think going into what you were saying about him really creating, like saying the things he wanted to say on his mind, like regardless of what's happening in his lifetime at that moment, but like he's really putting out the thoughts that are on his mind, whether dark or, you know, light.
Humorous.
Humorous or serious, like he's putting them out there. And then also, I think he was trying to break barriers with pop ideas because they had come in with a lot of new synth like notes and like different ways of doing sound, and like it was kind of the introduction of like the EDM scene into pop, which would like separate into its own.
You
had a bunch of, but like you had a huge like EDM type thing with the pop songs together. They would split up. Eventually, pop would go back to the guitar, acoustic type stuff. But like, he was taking that, and he didn't want to just do the classic 16, measure type stuff, hit the beats exactly when they wanted to. He turned it into something crazy, and on top of that, and this is just an opinion, like I think he was opening up to this like the sexual side of Kanye that like he wants to talk about sex
and perversely sexual.
Perversely sexual because sex is a perverse thing.
Right.
It's like this for me. It's a taboo album because kind of like that's how I think about it because in that sense in its like similarity to sexuality and how he's talking about that kind of stuff. It's like there are sounds in there that are uncomfortable and weird, and there are notes in there that are weird and uncomfortable. There are bars in there that are uncomfortable, and it's like I think this was a time where he was trying to expose sex. Like it was like sex is not this thing that you guys have been
so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
exactly. Like I think that was part of it, and then like he continues obviously with that work going forward.
Also, we're gonna take a break, but we'll be right back. And we are back. We finished up on post Yeezus, Life of Pablo.
Yes, sir. Life of Pablo, I really liked.
I really liked
it. Is kind of underrated. Just like we were talking about earlier, I feel like the mythology around Life of Pablo kind of obscures Life of Pablo itself because it was released at a time when this is so weird to think that this was a debate we were having. Because of streaming and because of digital platforms, there was a lot of debate over what an album was now, over what an album looked like, if it was ever a finished thing, if it was ever done. And this happens. This happening in other mediums too, with like even films like it and stuff like that, like director's cuts and stuff like that. That's always been a question. You know, what is the actual version? Like what? Yeah. Life of Pablo kind of broke open that for a lot of people because it was like, well, Kanye's is not done. Like it's a thing he's always making, you know. So I think people never really allowed Life of Pablo to be finished, so to speak. Which is
he came out with more songs as it.
He did. He added more songs, but like what we got originally was a moment. But like in and of itself, like if we're going to look at like music as like a cultural thing, like. That was a time where we collapsed around this 15-song thing that was like, we all listened to it, we all knew what it was, we were all talking about it, regardless of anything you added before or anything you took away or cleaned up. That was what we got, and that's what we're still like kind of talking about. So yeah, that's kind of, I feel like, obscured kind of the quality of the album in a lot of ways, because it wasn't, I think, he was dropping some of his, like, I think on Yeezus and Life of Pablo, he was dropping some of his most articulate bars, in my opinion. Like, I mean... Sure, his early period, he was dropping some pretty good bars, but like, you know, they're like early come-up bars. Like he's and they were also what 2000s were looking for, which like, let's be real about 2000s lyrically, it was mostly braggadocious. Like that's what it was, yeah. But Kanye, like, Yeezus and Life of Pablo are really insights into his psychology. Like, and I mean, that actually began, I would argue, on like 808s and Heartbreaks was like really where like with that kind of more personal breaking open, even having a heart on the front of the record, like almost symbolic, like he's quite literally wearing his heart on his sleeve. Like, and I feel like Life of Pablo is the culmination of that for me. This like messy portrait of an artist, you know, that like it is showing you all the sides of Kanye in development, you know, stuff that's not finished yet.
Well, I think it's important to say also that Watch the Throne debuted in 2010. He had been coming out with an album every single year, and Watch the Throne debuted in 2010, and then Yeezus didn't come out until 2013, and then Life of Pablo didn't come out until 2016. And you look at those three albums and the jumps in the type of music and like what he's saying, like everything about the album. It's still Kanye. It's still unmistakably Kanye, but it is a diverse trilogy of albums. And you notice that also there is a huge time span between these albums compared to what he had been doing previously. And you kind of notice a similarity in the music that he came out with pre-2010. It was all rap mostly, except for 808s and Heartbreaks, pop. But like you can see a similarity. And then and I think if you kind of paid attention to what was happening in his life, or at least what the media showed what was happening in his life, a shit ton was happening because he had already reached stardom, the top, that level. And like from there on, it's like, what do you do? And he had to deal with a lot of like, what do? You're the most popular. You have everything you could want. Like you have produced what people have already considered to be some of the best music out there.
Yeah.
Like where do you go from there? Like what can you do? Like,
seriously.
Like, there's that scary thing where you can't just rely on what's been happening and be the best at what's been happening, because then you have to create something no one's ever heard before. And that's what I think Yeezus was something that was just like, it took him 3 years to figure out how to put into music what he wants to do, like the next thing that he wanted to do. And obviously somebody who's as musically talented as he is, you know, he's been thinking about different ways to do music and stuff like that. And so like, but this was a real break from like what music had been. 3 years going through a bunch of shit like in his life, a lot of different mentalities, a lot of different philosophies that he's choosing to join at different times. Like he comes out with Yeezus, like a taboo, crazy out there album, destroys the world basically with it. And then that was his like, you know, let's put it into a term that is not really accurate, but like that's a manic album. That is a manic album. Right. And then you come another 3 years, he goes through a lot of controversy in the 3 years after Yeezus. And then Life of Pablo comes out, and it's a very kind of it's a settling album. It feels wholesome. It feels like safe again, I guess.
Oh,
kind of.
That's really interesting.
Because when you listen to it, you feel. I think you feel good. You feel homey. And like with Yeezus, you kind of feel like you're like, I don't know
It's a pretty sad album.
It is, but like...
I like the idea of what you're saying about hominess, because it does feel like you're closer to Kanye on that one. Yeezus feels like he's keeping you at a distance, and it feels like he's running away from you, whereas like Life of Pablo feels like he's like, oh, like you're here now, like...
Let me tell you about Kanye.
That's what I was gonna say when you like made that distinction about the time it took to come out with those albums compared to like his earlier music.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that time that he took to come out with Yeezus and Life of Pablo was definitely, like you said, him like formulating how to put in, like, musically say the things that he wanted to say and change things up the way he wanted to change things up, but also him like taking the time to become comfortable with himself with doing those things, because like you said, he was already at the top of the game, and like he's feeling those pressures to continue to be at the top of the game. And I'm sure while feeling those pressures, he's coming up with songs and then feeling like, oh, that's not going to be good enough. Coming up with songs that's not going to be good enough. And Yeezus was like an example of him probably going through so many songs that he felt were not good enough to come with a track list that was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because he felt like that's what he had to do, had to keep it 100%, like, not perfect because it's changing things up, but like in that new lane that he created, damn near perfect. You know what I mean? And then I feel like that 3-year break that he took between Yeezus and Life of Pablo was him again becoming comfortable with, you're still at the top, you just performed again, you showed that you belong here, what are you going to do now, like you said. That 3-year break was him becoming comfortable with the fact that now he's at the top, or in my opinion, him becoming comfortable with the fact that even though he's at the top, he doesn't necessarily have to put out perfect shit, you know what I mean? Because Life of Pablo is not perfect by any means.
Right.
It's a really, really good album, and I feel like it's really, really good because it's the first Kanye project that we got that doesn't feel like he wanted to perfect it. Or like
It feels truly Kanye, like really like who he is.
It was like our first insight into almost the process of Kanye, because we had never gotten that. We had just gotten the end product, that's it. But this was the first project that he had dropped, said, oh, I'm not even done with it yet. I'm still going to do stuff with it. And that alone was like, that drew us in, because we're like, what, Kanye? You're giving us a taste before it's even, you know what I mean?
And he also pushed that album so many times.
Yeah.
Like he was like, it's going to come out, but then it didn't come out.
Right.
And he's like, it's going to come out.
Yeah.
And then
it's like a whole year.
I think he was like just trying to get comfortable, because he's like, I can't put this shit out. It's not done. It's not. And then he finally, after the 3 years, was comfortable with putting it out, even though it wasn't done. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that was an important step in his career. And Life of Pablo was a fucking beautiful ass album.
Also, just from a thing I feel like is relevant in his work is that he really, because you kind of, when you have that platform that Kanye has, or like any big mainstream artist that people look up to, you at some point have to say something. Like it's media, it's art. You have to say something eventually. It's something substantial, something that moves society forward.
Mm-hmm.
Whether about yourself, whether about the self, or whether about society. And a lot of people choose to make remarks on society, and he's done that. He's made his remarks on society, and it's like, you know, and he's made very clear remarks about society and himself. Yeah, both of those things. And like, he's the kind of person that does not mince words. He puts it exactly how it comes into his brain.
Right.
And I think with the Life of Pablo, one of the reasons I really like it is I feel like he chose to make his move, make his push, you know, help society basically with his art by really expressing the shit that he's gone through, and like in well thought out words, and like it was the first time it wasn't just a Kanyeism where it was just like, I'm the best, I'm God. And it's like, okay, like your shit's rocks, fuck yeah. But it was like, he was explaining things. There were things that he said about the way he was feeling that he had never expressed before to anyone. He had just lashed out in an emotion of some kind. Like, and he was, and like, I really feel like that 3 years he was coming to terms with, you know, who he was, and he felt that like I think that he felt like a lot of people expressed and shared the sentiment of basically going crazy in his environment and in the society that he was living in, because like he feels the societal pressures that he talks about, and he also feels the self pressures that everyone deals with, which is just like expectations from others and just like your own stress about like, am I doing what I want to be doing? And it's like, and like a pressure that not a lot of people see is like having succeeded. Like a lot of people reach for success, but nobody really thinks about what happens when you succeed. People are like, you succeed and you're done, your life's made, but it's not true. You still have to live your life, you still have the same human problems that people who did not succeed have. And it's like, you actually have to deal with that on a much more public level, a standpoint where other people
painfully public.
You can't mess up in front of other people because you're what people think success looks like. Right, exactly. And so like, I think, and like Life of Pablo kind of spoke to me in that sense that he was just like, yeah, I'm going through shit, I'm not perfect, I fucked up, things have happened, and like, and that's kind of how I felt when I listened to it.
What you said kind of makes me feel like it was his almost first time being humbled after like reaching that level of insane fame, because his first few albums, super humble. You know what I mean? He's just a guy.
Kid with a backpack in Chicago
making fucking beats. You know what I mean? It was so humble.
That image,
so fire. Then he gets fucking famous. 808s and Heartbreak. That one's out. That doesn't count really because it was an emotional one. But My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Watch the Throne, and Yeezus.
Yeah.
He's at the top. He's a god.
And he's dealing with it.
No one man should have all this power, and he's like dealing with it and almost reveling in the fact that he is there.
He's like your goddamn right.
I like that a lot. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is that reveling. But then Yeezus is the fallout. Yeezus is that crisis of faith.
Absolutely.
That crisis of faith in hedonism and being crisis.
And then in that 3-year period between dropping that and Life of Pablo, he's coming to terms with the fact that I'm up here, but I'm still a fucking human. I still have these problems. And then that was the first.
On that terms, Life of Pablo was very sobering.
Yes. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy was like he was lost in what was happening. He was like everything is like No More Parties in LA is a direct reference to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That time where he is literally like, and I hate to bring this up because this is not a good artist. Jeezy is not a good artist and not relevant to Kanye, but he talks a lot about the sobering effects of fame and like having to just go out and party all the time and this and that and that, like all the things that happen as a star lifestyle. But he talks about it, and like the album is called My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, so it's like he's living this fantasy that he thought and built up, that everyone has built up, and it's dark and it's twisted exactly like he said. So he's saying all these beautiful things that he wanted, and then he's seeing those little things in there that are like, it's like little glitches in this perfect reality. And he's just like, and then like you said, Yeezus is like, he like explored one of those dark little alleyways, and it just took him. Yeah. And then like Life of Pablo, he comes back out of it, and he's like I'm back on Earth, basically. Yeah. And then,
all right, well, 1 second. We will be right back. All right. And we are back, folks. One last note on Life of Pablo, I will say, reminded me of this Nietzsche quote that like Nietzsche shed all that was not himself when he wrote All Human, All Too Human. I feel like Life of Pablo, we were talking about it feels like Kanye shed all that was not him anymore. It was just Kanye. Like, it was just Kanye. But yeah, moving on to his more recent output. It's a messy album, but the emotions are big and they're powerful. You cannot. Reckoning with that work is like it's like talking to your friend when they're in the middle of being insane, and you just kind of have to hear them out. You're just like okay, I'm listening. I'm here for you. But you really cannot do anything else besides that other than listen.
Right. I feel like Ye almost shows that Kanye West gets too into these phases that he goes through. Because Yeezus, like you said, is him exploring way too deeply one of those aspects of his like God status and his beautiful dark twisted fantasy and all of that. And then the Life of Pablo was him coming to terms with still being human. We're all human, real friends. How many of us? You know what I mean? And then Ye was him remaining in that space of, okay, I'm still a human. I have problems. And then diving way too deep into those problems.
That it became like narcissism. And,
Right.
Yeah.
I also feel like, but like as much as that is completely valid, I feel like that was all necessary for the effect that Ye had on that he was expressing. Like Ye, like it is about basically saying all those things, those deep things that everybody knows or like that don't really need to be said, and he and like his narcissism in it is part of his like that mental illness that he's expressing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not saying it was a bad thing or anything. I'm just saying like that almost creates a pattern of
definitely.
him like going through a phase, getting way too deep into that phase.
Oh, and then coming
switching
back
up.
Yeah.
Going into a different phase, going too deep into that phase.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a human,
but what is being a human?
Right. Are you all as human as I am?
He's like,
he's like human traits.
It's like, you think about killing people, I know you do.
Right.
I know you do.
Yeah.
We all
It's like, well, okay, maybe the thought has showed up, but you were saying things on a platform, my friend.
Yeah. And then, finally, the masterpiece, Jesus is King. Kanye was teasing his whole gospel phase for a while. I mean, pretty much since post Yeezus, he like teased, I'm going gospel, you know, and then like you had the whole Chance the Rapper thing, kind of beat him to it. But then you had full gospel, and we're just gonna rank them. We're just going to rank them because, like, you know what? Who needs more negative thoughts on the internet?
Jesus
Am
King
I
is
right?
bad. It's just bad. It's just a bad life.
It's just bad. It's horrible and it's awful and
has nothing to do with religion in terms of what
nothing
that
to
is.
do.
Religion's
Album. Religion's its own thing.
Religion. You want to talk about religion?
Nope. Let's not talk about religion. We're talking about Kanye West right now.
That's crazy. Look, that album, one song downloaded.
So there's one worthwhile song of Jesus is King.
Yeah.
But why don't we start on the end here?
Leave the list open.
You want me to do like top 5 or all of them?
I want to hear all of them actually.
All of them?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
you got time for that?
if I'm gonna put them in order, from least to like bottom to top.
Yeah.
Just bottom to top.
Go for it.
Absolutely, Jesus King, the worst of the worst. I don't even know if it should be considered in the. Anyway, I'm gonna put Ye/Kid See Ghost as the next, or I guess I'm gonna put Kid See Ghost as the next.
Kid See Ghost is not on the list.
It's
okay.
Well, I'm out. Yeah, it's fair. After that, I'll probably put. I'm gonna put 808s and Heartbreaks after that, just because it was a pop and it is a good album, but it's just like it's a pop album. After that, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I think Watch the Throne, Yeezus, Late Registration, Graduation, College Dropout, and then Life of Pablo is probably my favorite album.
Okay, Brandon.
Definitely putting Jesus as King. Bottom of that list.
We can just assume that
for all of us. It's already tough.
It's tough.
It's already tough.
'Cause you
Jesus
didn't-
is King is at the bottom. I think I'm gonna put Ye above that. I'd probably go 808s and Heartbreak. Watch the Throne. My Beautiful Dark Twisted. Late Registration. Life of Pablo. Yeezus. Graduation. College Dropout.
Okay. All right. Well, to make a long story short, Jesus is king. Jesus is king. Yay. That's it's pretty given. I'm gonna go.
Across the board.
Yeah, I'm gonna go My Beautiful. And then I'm going to go Watch the Throne. Then I'm gonna go Life of Pablo. Then I'm gonna go 808s. I'm gonna go Graduation. College Dropout.
You already know you want Yeezus at the top.
I don't know, man. Late Registration has so many good songs. Just for the sake of time, I'm gonna go Late Registration, then Yeezus at the top.
We knew it. We knew you liked Yeezus.
Yeah, I mean, I heard him say "Touch the Sky" like, oh, my way home. Roses. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I take it back. Late Registration over Yeezus. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, please. We appreciate it. We love you. Final plugs this week. I'm gonna make it a decision since it's right there. Weight of the World by Mike. Go check out their crew. Mike, Medhane, Slaus and Malone, Earl Sweatshirt. You know the names, know the faces. Goodbye, everybody. Jadaki,